This is a video that is going to explain how to turn your orthogonal drawings of your car design into a 3D shape using SOLIDWORKS. It's not as difficult as it might first appear. So I had a scan of some orthogonal drawings. You can see those here. And I have used the screen clipping tool to split that into 3 different images. I just find it easier that I can delete one at a time. SOLIDWORKS does not deal with images very well, but if I copy and paste, like screen clip and then paste into SOLIDWORKS, they'll all just kind of appear and I can rearrange them the way I want. But I'm going to see when I click on the origin, I can see where the origin is. That origin is a little bit wrong for that car. We want the origin, that's the center of the 3 planes, to be about in the middle of our main face, which is, I've been calling the front face, but when you think of a car, it's really the side face. I need the origin there. I'm going to start with there because it's the most detailed view, and I'm going to draw it onto the front plane. So highlight the front plane so that SOLIDWORKS knows which plane you're going to be drawing on, and then go to Sketch. Now you can click on Sketch to start it, or you can just click on Shapes. And I'm going to click on the spline tool, and we are going to see just how much this can help you, but also how much of a pain it is sometimes. That's okay. We're going to persevere. Okay. My front plane just went a little bit too wonky. Let's zoom in on that guy. There we go, zoomed. Okay, so I'm going to click on the spline tool. What I want to do is I want to make one shape. And the problems you're going to come across are if you accidentally don't join that shape, or if you have extra lines that aren't really connected to the main body, things like that. The main shape I'm going to consider as being this amazing windscreen for this car design. It's not actually my design. And around to the back of the car, down below the wheel, I'm going to go straight across here, and I'll show you how to cut the wheels out separately, because trying to get the spline tool to change directions quite as much as the wheel does is going to cause you pain. And then back around. So I'm going to start from this point, go all the way around, ignore the wheel cutouts for the time being, and then back around to this point. Okay. We should see that the shape is filled by the time I have finished this, but it is actually not going to show very well because I have the picture there. Oh, that's a valid point. Hang on. Right click. I want to send that to back. I don't think I can do it until I've got a drawing. Okay. Spline tool, starting from this point here. Okay, see how even though I can't see where I clicked, you can see that the spline tool is definitely working. Okay, so the spline tool does some automatic curving for you. Often it is really wrong about that curving, but we'll fix that up in a second. So I want to click here. I want to click anywhere there's a major change in direction. Here, over here, I want to click there. And then we have a really nice smooth curve to about, let's go to the middle point of that curve, and then the end of the curve, and then we want to go to about level with the bottom of the car, and then I'm going to go straight across to here, and then the other side of the bottom of the car. Remember, I'm ignoring the wheels right now, and then the other side of the wheel, and then the middle of that nose cone, and then back to, now when I'm back to the center, you should see the thing light up so that it's going to join. We can join it at the end if we don't do it right, but it looks to me like that's correct. Okay. You can see through parts of this car, which yours might not be able to do. If you can see through parts of the car, then you're going to be able to see that the whole thing just got shaded in a bluey grey colour. If you can't see that the car is see through the car, that's fine. We're going to send the car backwards now. So we want it to go to the back so that we can't see it anymore. I think I have to exit sketch to do that. Exit sketch, right click. Send to back. Hooray. And now when I go to edit the sketch, I can now see the sketch. Okay, let me zoom back in. So that step was trace the thing, exit the sketch, send the image to the back, and then edit the sketch again. Okay, so now I can see my outline, and you can see that it's kind of approximate, but it's not really doing all the things that I need it to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it and start to see where the shape shifty bits are. So these shape shifty bits are the arrows. Can you see those arrow keys? And I can lengthen and twist. See, lengthen and twist to make those shapes a little more what I want them to be. So this one here, I want to go up to do that. That's really annoying. This kind of thing happens all the time. If I can't get it to work like that, I'm going to add an extra shape in there. Don't fret too much. We're getting approximate, as close as we can, but not necessarily perfectly matching. Anything can be added to or edited. Okay, so this one here, that point is actually a bit in the wrong place. So get it to there. I just clicked and dragged, and now I can use my arrow keys to bend. This one here, can you see it light up? Okay, so now that's in a little bit the wrong place. I'm going to shift it by dragging. There we go. And then click and drag the arrow key to get it right. About there. Now, remember, ignoring the wheel. I'm then going to bring this one up a bit to be the bottom of that wheel arch. And then this arrow goes down. Don't worry about the wheel. Like that. And this one, same. I'm going to bring it down so that it gets that. Okay, if it goes haywire like that, just let go and it will jump back into shape. And so I want this one to be, it's real annoying. Like, I just want it to curve down a bit. Just get it to a point where I'm satisfied. That'll do. And then this one, I want to bend around the bumper bar like that. And this one is probably not going to be my friend. See how the two curves are at too deep an angle? Yeah. So I kind of have to choose between one or the other, but it's okay because I can fix everything at the end. All right. So now that I'm happy with what I've done, I'm going to move that image out of the way. So let's exit. Actually, I'm not going to move it out of the way. I'm going to change the shape of things from here. So what I want is I want a curvy bit. So a circle will do. I can always bend a circle if I really want to. Curvy bit about there. If I want to drag it into position, I'm going to click with the arrow key and drag. Come on, drag. Okay, and see how that kind of matches up with that curve? Right. And I want to do the same thing Well, that broke. Hang on. There we go. I want to do the same thing over here. So let's find, you don't have to use a circle, you can use an ellipse, but it's slightly more annoying to work with. Circle, so I want it to go, I want a big curve. And once I click the arrow key and move it from the center, I want it to fit about there. That seems about right. And now I can do the cutouts for the wheels. I'm going to do circles for that. So from about the center to where the wheel arch is, and I can click the arrow key and move that around if I need to, a little bit up. That seems about right. And then this one is a much bigger wheel. So from the center, which is about there, and up to about there. Perfect. Okay, so now I have too many lines. The whole thing will freak out if I have this many lines. I will not be able to extrude it, and that will be a failure. So let's trim off the excess lines. So I want to get rid of that internal curve there, which will mean that it's cut up to the point where they intersect, which is really useful. It's exactly what I want to do. So I want to get rid of this internal line here. So now those two lines should join at a point. And then I want to get rid of this internal line and this line here, both of these lines. And then over here, I just draw a line through the ones that I want to cut. So that line there. I think everything else in that wheel area is done. So now we're just going to cut through the bottom of that circle and then the original line for the shape of the car. And we've got a car shape that's almost exactly what it was that I drew. If I wanted to, I could come back and add to this curve. So let's grab another circle. Just about everything can be made with different size circles. And then use that trim entities tool. I don't want that part of the circle. I don't want that part of the circle. I don't want that part of the circle, but I don't want that point anymore. So now we have exactly the shape that I want. So let's get rid of the, let's zoom out and move this picture out of the way. And there's my shape. It looks beautiful. So let's have a look at the size of that shape by editing the sketch. And you know how big you made your car. So I want to use a smart dimension and go from this point to this point and check how big it is. It says 117 milliliters. That's a little on the small side, but I can resize it. So let's go to 180. There we go. And now everything will be to scale for the size of the car that I'm building. And I can do a smart dimension. Let's just get this image out of the way. I'm going to do a smart dimension from top to bottom just to check that the height isn't too big. So from this point to here, and then be really good if you actually did the thing. No, fine. I'll do it to there. I just did. Right. Oops. I hate it when that happens. That's my trackpad for you. Double click on that. I went back too far. 180. And now I should be able to smart dimension from the top to the bottom and out. So that's, I don't want to force it. I just want to see what it's measuring. So That is currently measuring at 96.47, which seems perfectly reasonable for a print. So this is going to be the size of my car from now on. Exit the sketch. So the first thing I did was trace around the car approximately. The second thing I did was, sorry about that. The second thing I did was add a couple of circles or other shapes to get the car a perfect shape, and then I used the Trim Entities tool to get it back to one shape, get rid of all those excess lines. And so now what I'm going to do is actually extrude that shape. Now, because I've got the origin in the center, I'm going to extrude mid-plane, and I already have my measurements. If I've done this on paper properly, I should already have my width measurements. I'm going to go with 90 millimeters. No, I'm going to go bigger than that because I might want to cut it down, because this is how boxy my top view is, so it's quite fat. So let's go with big, and we'll chop it down. Okay, so now I have my car shape, one face matching what I drew, but it's not actually all three faces matching what I drew. So let's have a look at the top plane. Normal to that, press this button here to go and look at the top plane, and then I can grab this shape and bring it into position, and now we want to get the length the right size, so we're going to resize this so that it's the right length front to back, like that, because it's the right length from front to back. Remember, they all match. All of our shapes match. So now that I've got it the right length front to back, I can now trace around the outside of this car shape, not the wheels, just the car, and chop that this direction. And that means I will end up with two faces that match my original drawings, and finally I'll do the third face. So I'm just going to pause the talking for the time being and speed up some footage so that you can see that. Okay, firstly, before I do the fast one, I'm going to show you that my extruded shape is not quite big enough to fill top to bottom. So I'm just going to make it a little bigger. So now it's 130 mils, and I can drag that shape a little bit higher to make sure that all the bits are on the shape. Also, I probably want to make this symmetrical, so I'm really only going to do one side of it and then mirror image it across the center of the shape. Okay, so now I'm going to do the speed run. So here you can see my completed outline, which I fiddled with for a little bit, so that's why I sped it up. It's the same process that I used for the first drawing that I did. Do some splines, wiggle them around to get them right, and then add some more shapes if you need to. And then we get to this. So now I'm going to cut the shape through all of the 3D model that's already there. So let's highlight sketch 2, and I'm going to go to Features, Extruded Cut. Now if we look on the side, you can see that it's, first of all, it's in the wrong place. So let's make sure we go mid-plane, and we want it to go so that it pushes through the whole thing. And then we actually want to make sure that instead of cutting a hole through the center where we drew that shape, we want to keep the hole and cut away all of the excess bit. So this is flip side to cut. See that flip side to cut? And so when I click the flip side to cut, the yellow bit that's going to be cut away is now the outside of the shape, and the car shape is the middle. So let's tick that and see what it looks like. Okay, so now we have the shape from the top has cut through the shape of the side, and so it's starting to look like it has 3D shape rather than just 2D shape. If I was going to be pedantic about this, I might try and line up some of these lines a bit better. If you can see here, this line here probably should line up with the edge of my curve there. And this line here might want to line up a little bit better that way. But it does still look like the car that we drew. And now we just need to do the third shape, which will be on the right plane, normal to, and then the whole thing will be 3D. So I'm going to speed that up again. Okay, so I actually want to make this car a little bigger because I want it to match up with the bottom of the rest of the model and the top of the rest of the model. So I'm going to see if I can smart dimension it that way. Okay, so now we've finished off the fast bit and we have a shape that is stretched to the top and bottom of our 3D shape, and we're going to extrude cut this through. So I make sure the sketch is selected, I go to Features, Extruded Cut, I turn it on its side and see that it's not cutting all the way through, so I change that to mid-plane, and you can adjust the size to make sure that it's definitely covering all of our shape. That's about right for me. And then I'm going to do this flip side to cut thing again to make sure that it's not cutting a hole through the center, but it's actually cutting away the bits that I don't want. And that looks about perfect. So then I click the tick, and this is my 3D car. And I can make adjustments to it as I need to or add more detail. And it's done.